Welcome everybody to What We Built This Year 2025 Friday Live. Friday Live is FM BetterForms sponsored meetup group. We have a pretty great turnout today. So I'm really excited to see some of the apps. We had a few cancellations, a few new people come in last minute that are going to present. So we have maybe about, I don't know, five or six, seven, something like that, devs who've presented some different stuff. Segments are about going to be between maybe 5 and about 15 minutes or so. I think we should be able to fit everything in. We might go over time a little bit if we do. All good. Just quick mention about some upcoming events that we're Adults Engineering and FM BetterForms is going to be involved with. We have Vienna Calling will be there. I don't think we'll be a sponsor there because we normally don't for that event, but we will be attending there. That's going to be in Vienna. That's a really nice venue. If you haven't been to the European conferences, this is one of the ones to go to. It's super technical. Definitely leans towards the more technical side. Really high value talks that are there too, and it's kind of not pure organized, but it's kind of a la carte kind of thing. You go up and you can book a session and so on. Elevate Toronto is or Elevate FM is a running their event. This is going to be the second year they call for speakers. It's just gone out. We're a primary sponsor for that, and you'll get a chance to meet all of our team there as well, which is great. Hope to see you out there. You get a chance to visit Toronto. We live here, so it's not as exciting maybe, but everybody who comes from out of town, it's a pretty good city that way. Excellent food and things like that. And then of course CQDF is the French Canadian conference that's going to be in Montreal, Quebec. And we are a sponsor for that. And we've built an app for registration and things like that for that conference as well. So hope to see you. Those are the ones that are coming up in the near future. I think everybody knows that Engage Austin is not going to be running this year, or Claris Engage in general. So that makes a little bit of room maybe for some other events and things like that too. So pretty exciting coming up. I want to talk about, we're going to really jump right into our community builds. So I just want to mention some of the things that our team has built over the course of the year, and just to sort of draw a bit of a highlight on that. We sort of broke them down into a few different categories. Actually, I broke them down in there. We've introduced some different versions of AI. The next version will be rolling out about Sunday, and that will be cleaning up a lot of the little smaller issues that we just recently released. But it's a significantly different agentic framework, and next week you'll see a massive difference in the performance coming up. We're still, I would say, our AI is capable of around the 70% mark after this next release, and then we'll push it up to about 90% of capability. That means it's going to be able to write things like slots. It can create named actions, animation and automation type widgets and things like that as well. So from the dev versions that we've seen some pretty decent performance. We also introduced the ability to have multiple models, and you'll be able to select those models for different things. We have an auto mode that's going to be coming into that. And if we have some time, I might be able to get a chance to demonstrate that later on, which will automatically pick an optimal model for what you're doing in the context. If you're writing a bunch of JSON, you want it fast, you don't want to have to wait. If you got something more complex, like writing named actions and things like that, we want a little smarter model there. So that's coming out in over the next week. Figma to BetterForms integration. We introduced our Figma plugin that does near pixel perfect, depending on how you've designed your Figma. If you've designed it really well, it does pixel perfect imports into BetterForms, and it breaks it into BetterForms elements. That's in beta right now. If you're interested in trying that, reach out to Hassan, and he can get you set up for that. We've also introduced a new component gallery, the ability to select components. We've introduced about 10 or 15 house components. Coming out in the next release, that'll be mid-January, is the ability to share components amongst your own organization. And then another release after that will have the ability to submit community components as well, so you can share those out. We made a number of changes. We noticed through the course of the year, people are building bigger and bigger pages, and we're going to see some of those pages, and they're using a lot of code. There's a lot of JavaScript, a lot of HTML and things like that on the page. and we saw some performance hits about 6 months ago. So we made some quick mitigations for those people, and then we made some significant changes to the architecture underneath. And now we do differential saving. So when you have a big JSON object, and we can introduce that as a technique if anybody else wants to learn about that as well. But we don't actually save a big blob of information now. We actually save the diffs in that blob, and we actually use those diffs to transmit to all of the other clients who are also listening in on the editor for a collaboration. So we've increased load times for various parts of the app. Some of it you might not see directly. Some of it you'll see more often or more frequent. And we have a bunch more that are coming in, especially for the page save optimizations there. We've introduced a number of base code enhancements that includes some custom functions, and custom functions, some functions, and one of them is BF library load once, and this is a really, really significant one. It doesn't sound like much, but basically what it does is it allows a developer to load ESM modules, to load virtually any type of node module third-party library and including CDNs. And what you can do now is, since it's a function and it'll load only once, we can now load those third-party libraries at the time of the invocation of a component. So if you drop a component like a Apex chart, for example, onto your layout, that library doesn't actually even load into the browser until that component is about to be rendered. So it's like a just-in-time type of thing. And it's only downloaded once. And then our service workers cache that. So you have repeat performance down the road. So that's a pretty significant change. You'll start to really appreciate the benefits of that as we introduce more components. But you can get really, really fancy widgets and things like that for basically very little effort now. We've constantly, Michael is leading up our GUI editor, and I think he's on the call today. Thanks for coming up, Michael. And we've introduced a number of fixes, optimizations, clean up a lot of things. We have one more big one that's going to be coming out soon, and this is the way the dragging and dropping works. Instead of having physical movements, we'll have a indicator line, so it's like a version 2 of that. That's going to be coming out soon. That's just in dev right now. But that seems to be our GUI editor. All of our new clients over the past year have pretty much been using that with pretty good success. Configurable JWT times we've introduced as well. We introduced that towards the beginning of the year, and this is basically authentication tokens, how long you stay logged in for. That's selectable. You can go into your app settings of the app and select that for all your environments, and that's a great feature there. OAuth scoped for environment. This is a smaller feature, but it's kind of slipped in here. This one's still in beta, but basically now, if you're using third-party authentication, like an identity provider like OAuth, before it was set up so that OAuth was for your entire app, but now you can have specific configurations for each environment. So that's something that's fairly new. And then, of course, for our community and our ecosystem, we introduced the BF Academy. That was Hassan's project, and that's constantly growing. We're adding new little pieces now and then into that. We've also increased or changed our samples. So now we have V3 and V2 samples, examples. And finally, we've introduced some new pricing plans. Those will be coming out with a grandfathering plan for all existing users. But we've been pretty generous. We've actually grandfathered you in for the past year because we introduced that plan almost a year ago. So we will finalize some of that stuff over the next little bit. So those are some of the things. If anybody has any questions or comments or anything on that, if not, I'll carry on. And what we'll do is we're going to jump right into our community. And unfortunately, Jake Johnson, who is supposed to be here with us today, is doing a product release, and they have a native app that they're launching, I think, on the App Store. But they did send in this video here, and this is one of the apps that I guess Jeremy Brown is part of their team now, and he's working on. And I'll just give you a bit of preface about it. It's called Blue Dispatch. It's a software as a service type app. And it's basically, when you go to the mall at Christmas time, they have the rent-a-cops that are around, for different events, concerts and such. And this is an application that is used to track those people, and they can also find out, get their next location or assignment and so on. So I'm going to play this. Let me make sure I got our sound on here. And this is just a short video talking about one of the features within that. I don't know if I can make this full screen or not. I don't think so.
Hey there. So the LES Create Job form was designed to solve a specific problem. Users who needed to create an event where police officers would be guarding or be at an area for support, like say Sunday service, the intersection, the exit to the church property, or a school event or whatever. They needed a form to create the job, but they really needed it to be a very precise location. Before I get into the precise location aspect, the rest of the form is pretty straightforward. It is it allows you to enter job details. One nice feature is that we are presenting different possibilities with the map based on the kind of job it is, whether it's just a one-day event like on a Wednesday or something, or if it's a daily thing, they can choose an entire date range. And if it's weekly, they can choose the entire range of dates and then choose a particular day. So let's say Sunday for church and maybe Wednesday night as well. Enter the time, enter all that information. It's all set up, and that's good. What the big feature is that we have this map here that allows the user to select the precise location of the event. So they can scroll in and they can get very specific and say, oh, I'm going to choose, we need someone to be right there. So that's exactly what they can choose. We get the address as Google has it. And under the hood, we are storing the precise latitude and longitude. So that'll eventually go back to FileMaker. So a user could do that. They can click on the map to what's it called? The marker to remove it and move it wherever else it needs to go. So that seems a little odd of a place. So I'm going to put it right there, right at that intersection. All right, so we have that. And again, the precise location recorded by the latitude and longitude translates to or is distributed to the people who are assigned this job, who pick up this job. They'll know the exact location of the event. They can also type in an address or a location. I don't know Phoenix very well, but I guess I could do Legends Event Center. And what that will do is it will find, I guess it's the wrong place, Phoenix. Legends Event Center Phoenix. There we go. All right, so we got it. Exact location. It adds the marker. And actually, I didn't even need to do that because I have a button down here that centers the map on the marker. So we got that. So there it is. It is available now for this job. Okay, that is the basics of this form. I think what makes this so interesting is that we're using a lot of JavaScript to collect the data. We're using these buttons to manipulate the map. We're using that address complete to also manipulate the map and to add data to the model that is necessary for this job. So that is a rundown of this form. Very good. All right.
All right. Thank you, Jeremy. Next, I put a link in the chat to our lineup. If that's okay, if you're not ready at that time, just let me know. And next on deck, or sorry, next we have Jeroen from Logix in the Netherlands, if you're good to go. And then on deck would be Joe Hardstaff. I did see you in the link here. Jeroen, are you able to present now, or if not, Joe, you're up next, if that's okay.
Yeah, I don't see your own in here.
Yeah, maybe he jumped off or something. Oh, here he is here, actually. Well, maybe we can swap spots. I don't think he's ready to go right away. He's just jumping in. Right. If not, Joe, if you're able to jump in next, that would be awesome.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Share screen.
And then after Joe, we'll have Jeroen if you're able to hop in next on deck.
Sorry, Charles, I've just got to set my permissions to allow my screen to be shared. Just 1 second.
Awesome.
I'll have to come out and come back in 1 sec.
That's fine. And if you're able to go right now, we actually had you up on first, but if you need a bit of setup, I know you just came in.
Just give me a few minutes. Yeah, give me some time, Charles. Just hopped
Yeah,
in
no
here.
worries. No worries. We've actually this in just in the interim while these guys get set up, we've speaking of this mapping tool, I one of our team, she's away today on vacation, but she made a really neat thing for a client for floristware, and it's a location. It's it's in a delivery app, and you click a button, and it uses Google's API directly from the browser, and it fetches your current location and the next location where the driver is driving to. And then it calculates the optimistic time or the pessimistic time or the average time to drive to that next location. Then in the back end, it sends a text message, says the driver is on his way and he'll be here in 17 minutes kind of thing. It's a really, really neat little thing, little snippet of code. We're going to put it into a custom component so that you can just drag it onto your page, wire it up to where the address is, and you're done. And it's pretty nifty. All right, Joe, if you're free, you can share your screen. Tell us all about everything.
Is that sharing? Great. There we go. Okay. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So we just to give it an overview really first. So our app is it's massive. It's absolutely huge, and it's the context is that it's a centralized digital recording system for children's homes, predominantly in the UK. So they're very highly regulated by an organization called Ofsted, which some of you may be aware of. They're the regulatory body that QA all of the provisions to make sure that they are, doing the due diligence and have all the compliance issues and things like that in place. So it's absolutely huge. On top of that, we also provide a HR section, a health and safety section, staff HR and rotoring. It's just massive. So we haven't got time to show it all today. So we'll just give a skim over. What we thought we'd focus on, Charles, will be the optimizations that we've done because, as you guys know, it's a massive, massive system. So the things that we work really hard on is making sure that everything we do is as optimized as possible. Still got a bit of a way to go. But yeah, so we use different pages to test out different structures and different features, things like that. But the main premise is that from a frontline worker point of view, who will probably be quite low literacy levels in terms of computers, which we find, and that's not me just saying that, we know that for fact, that lots of the users are quite illiterate when it comes to using a machine. So we've tried to make it so that this one page is really the go-to. You can do everything from here. Now, all this data that's in here, by the way, is all just demo thrown together data. There's nothing in here that's for a live young people or anything like that. It's just their own data. So you've got like your kind of main dashboard, you've got your tasks, you've got young people and things like that. One of the things we've tried to do is make it so that it's live, as live as possible. And obviously, when you've got the delay or the update in a task or a message or things like that, we've then started to look at the sockets. So with the web sockets that we can use and channels where you can send direct messages to people when they're online, and that pops up on their screen and they get that. And, not just for messages, but for data as well. So when something in a piece of data has been updated, it pushes it to those people that are also on that channel through the WebSocket. So that's kind of one thing we've been working on. So you've got young people, list of young people down here, and then from here you've got lots of quick actions, which could be customized per user. And this is all the regulatory side of it here. So quality of care, these are all the standards, and you can favorite which bit you want to go to, and things like that. And then when you click on these, it will take you to that particular section, which is a form. And then you can fill this form in, and it will then give you, again, these are all based on regulatory requirements. So you're basically recording that young person's life up to a certain extent, because they're going to be in the care of the local government, the local authority. So it's vast as in what it does. Some of the things that we've really worked on a lot would be the hooks and how we optimize the data that's sent from the front end, and how we can minimize what it needs to get the maximum amount of data that we need. So we've done that mostly now by using the actions, option to actions approach. So using the global variable BF hook. So we set that up in a function before the utility hook runs. So your utility hook can grab that as a global file. So it could just be something simple like a young person's ID, or it might be the staff member's ID. So rather than the whole model going over, you just send those very specific keys that you need to get the information you need. And then the information coming back, again, is very much, it's only what is needed at that time. So we've gone a little bit more down like the event-driven type approach. So whereas before, when we first started doing this, before we knew kind of a bit more the real finesses of the system, it was about, can we preload things to make it quicker? Which has worked. Obviously, we do that in quite a lot of places. But there's also quite a lot of places where preloading causes more problems because it's too much data, and then that's where we found we get the timeout issues because the payload is just too big. So for areas like the dashboards, obviously one of the biggest areas, because you've got to get a lot of information in these places in one go. So trying to optimize what it is you need to show and how you show the information very clearly has been one of the biggest challenges. But we are getting there now. So this is an example of where this might work. So you've got these cards that give you information about things that are overdue by 7 days and things like that. So rather than loading all that information up and using the front end to do the count is done in the back end, and just the counts. And that's done through mainly SQL, although we could use relationships, but be quite a nice thing to actually open to everybody really about people's experiences with the difference between using a relationship to maybe grab totals or grab data, using something like JSON, as from related type situation, or use an SQL statement to grab that data and in account. It's really interesting to hear anybody's feedback about what they've encountered with that and what they think is the more efficient way. We've done multiple tests, and it's probably down to context, to be fair, but yeah. So what we do now, when you click on these items here, it loads the data once you've clicked it rather than preloading it, which sounds obvious, but to try and make the system as quick as possible, there are places where to have the data preloaded makes more sense, because then it's almost instant. But that's been one of the biggest challenges. But it seems to be something that we are breaking the back of now. And the system is now fully live, and we have clients on it, and we're getting some amazing feedback about the system. But we've also got things like blockers in place to stop you from navigating certain places. We've got MFA system set up that we use natively ourselves, and we use a Node.js server to do all that. So it's all, yeah, it's actually hard to explain where to go and what to do, because it is just so big. But we've also got my colleague Josh and Richard in the call. So if there's anything I've missed and they want to point anything out, please do. As in now.
Hi. The only thing I'll just touch on as well was with the sort of the issue with data loading and getting timeouts. We adding in like model filter keys within the hook set, trying to then pass data back into a child object of the model was then overriding quite a lot of the data that was already in the default model. So what we ended up doing was creating a global script on the front end that was got called from the back end, which essentially what it's called, we call it push data into model. So it actually passes the location of the model and then the data and either the type of call it wants to be, either replace the data or push into. So then actually it just pushes straight back into the model, whatever it needs to be, rather than the filter keys sort of making a lot of data disappear, which we were finding to start with. But yeah, it's been really good. I think we've refined it quite well now. Learn from it.
I think on that, it was where when you're trying to push data back into the model, if there's a parent key that exists already and you're using model filter keys, it would replace that whole key. And because we have so much data, we might have a parent key, and it might be called data, and then within that you might have multiple child keys and then multiple further child keys. But if you couldn't update that data without it replacing the main parent one. So we used the push data into model and specified where it was. And that totally solved that problem. That was a massive breakthrough for us to do that, which works really, really well.
There are a number of new techniques that we start to use and we've discovered, and some of them apply to some people, some of them apply to other groups. This first one I'll mention doesn't really apply to you because of the sensitivity nature of your data. But one of them ones is we built a mechanism to use IndexedDB, and we just mirror the data into IndexedDB. And it basically, just like using AppSync or caching, but the IndexedDB actually, instead of local storage, is what it binds to. And then it's like infinite amount of data basically based on your drive. There's a ton of optimizations that can be done in different areas. So if you do find any challenges that way, we've pretty much run into almost all of the cases, and we can show you the design patterns. We have workshops every Thursday. They're a free workshop. They're at 10 a.m., same time as this call here, 10 a.m. on Thursdays every week for about an hour and a half. And it's just stop in. Sometimes we have topics, and sometimes we'll just take on any questions and things like that. So that was great. The application looks pretty awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a while to get where we are now, but it's actually based on a previous one that we had that was just purely FileMaker. So we used to be just FileMaker, but obviously, I don't need to tell you guys that some of the limitations of that with the scale of what we're doing. We just had too many roadblocks, so that's why we went with you guys, which was proved to be a very, very good move. So yeah, it's brilliant.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Next up, we have Jeroen from Logix. He's been on a whole bunch of times, but he's always got something new and cool. So if you're good to
Thank
go.
you, Charles. Yeah, I will share my screen. Let's see. Let's get some stuff up there. Oops. You guys see my screen?
Yeah.
I think so, right? Yeah, so first thing I would like to share is our project management system we decided to build. Besides doing FileMaker work for our clients, we kind of started this in the backyard, building our own project management system, which is basically pretty crazy, right? Because there are so many of them. But we found that, or I found at least, that there wasn't anything that was matching our needs. So this is our dashboard. We basically said like, okay, we have a full need of a sort of Scrum Agile, Kanban way of work. What is the best way to do it? We have multiple projects. We want to manage those projects in a way that from the front end, we want to be able to start a project and build up that project, and then start talking to a client and build up a storyboard, basically, right? So starting epics and stories. So when a client talks to us and they have new needs, we build up an epic, and below the epic we start building one or more stories, and underneath the stories we start to build up tasks. And that is actually sort of front-end work for me or for my colleague to talk to the client and know exactly what they want. The client itself has also a back-end place where they can log in and build those storyboards and epics, the epic stories and tasks. The epics and stories themselves. So when they log in, they have a little bit different view. We're still struggling a bit with how that should look like, but basically they have a chance to leave a story, comments, attachments, and everything there, and they get signaled when there is something to review. So basically the thing is, we got a story in, we attach tasks to it, we start building, we are in progress, and the moment we think we're ready, we push it back to the client and have it in review, and they have to review it and accept or not accept that outcome of that story, or the output we generated. That said, that's actually one part of the system, right? Taking in requests and trying to build them into tasks for the back office. That means everything that, or for the builders, for me and for my colleagues to build FileMaker solution or a BetterForms solution or whatever we have to build. These tasks in the end show up on our Scrum board. By the way, you see the first time I just logged in, the first time loading is indeed pretty slow. We use Flux method to make sure that the second time you get somewhere, the loading is actually fast, so it will be ready there. And so we indeed preload data. So in the next time I switch the Flux method, make sure that any change is pushed. So we push everything to the app, and the app model is synced with the model, right? That means the second time you get somewhere, you jump in right away. That means there's a lot of tasks open for me. These tasks should actually be planned, and I probably have to work in the weekend now to get rid of all these tasks that are waiting for me. So what we're saying is our project manager takes all those requests. Let's start from the beginning. There's a project, my client has a request. I build out a storyboard for them based on epics and stories. If there are new requests, new stories come in, we're going to sit down with the team. We're going to translate those stories to tasks. The tasks are put in sort of pipeline on the Scrum board, and we have a WIP, a work in progress maximum that we handle. And if there's room, we drag in new task into in progress. That means that WIP is continuously updated to the max what we can handle. If there are rejected tests, they will come back. They will also go into progress. So sometimes we go over the maximum WIP and we get signals that we must stop pushing stuff in that progress pile. Well, as soon as it's in progress, it's our job as developers to get that out of the to-do list, basically, so we can drag stuff to our own calendar. And as soon as I pick something up and drag it into my calendar, it will get placed on my task list. And that means I need to finish it. And I need to finish it before it turns red. So this is okay, but this is of course not okay. So I need to replan these guys basically. So I probably have to work all weekend to get rid of this task list. If I start working on one, I can start the clock and I start working, clock starts, I do my job. And the moment I want to stop that clock, I can leave a note and say, okay, did my work, everything is done. Is it billable or not billable? I can save it and that part is done. Of course, many times in my case, I'm way too late working on it. So I have to click basically on that hour and say, okay, no time to clock anymore because clock has passed, but I can manually add time in there, save it, and yeah, update my schedule and say, okay, this is what I've done for that client. So now I've taken care of all the requests of the client. The client can follow in that other screen, follow his own, or follow the progress. And then the next part, of course, for me as a manager is, okay, all those hours that are booked here, I want to get overview. Sorry. I want to get an overview of how the projects, how the projects are doing. So we have eventually for my project manager, we have timesheets. She can look at what is everybody doing and how much billable time do we have. We have a resource planner to see did everybody plan his work a little bit nice and neatly for the next coming days. She can have a task overview, and you can see that my tasks are really red there, but the other guys are pretty much in sync with everything they have to do. So this works fine. And she has project progress, so she can click on a project and discuss with the client how far we are, how much more else there is to do, etc., etc. And then for me, what's quite essential, and maybe we should switch these buttons around, is okay, these hours are booked, and I can update this list, and FileMaker will grab all the hours that are booked and confront me with the fact that I need to push out invoices. So all the hours are here. I can walk through them, select them, and say, okay, select all or select this list of hours booked and create invoice. When I hit create invoice, that invoice is created over here, and I can have FileMaker build that invoice, send it out, including a payment link, etc., etc. This way, we never lose any hours that we've booked, hopefully, and maximize output. So this has been growing, and it's not. There are inconsistencies, and that's really annoying for me because I don't like that in the design, and that's why I would like to quickly show you another example of work we've done, and that's this in-depth HR where we decided to. Go here. No. Figma, where I told the guys, listen, we're not going to build anything unless we completely design everything around that project in Figma. And we designed every single page, every single issue we discussed beforehand, discussed where should the button be, what color should it be, etc., etc. Now we're building that solution, and it's way more consistent in the look and feel than what we're done before, because we're basically building based on previous design, right? And that is much more consistent. This is work in progress, by the way, so it's not completely ready yet, but this feels already much more concise. We taken care of responsiveness, the fact that this has to look good on a mobile, etc., etc. All these things weren't taken into consideration when we started building this. This started out of the top of my head, and I think Charles, you have seen 4, 5, 6 versions of this by now over the last year, and so this is still undergoing changes at any moment in time, every time again. And another example where we used all those windows, where we used for a client safety sys, where we use design first, is that we we start building this one, and this is way more consistent. This starts with a wizard, by the way. The client is here pushed through a line of options that they need to check before they start with the system. It's a one-time thing. They can set up basically all the details of the software, and when all is set, we say thank you very much, and it can start using the software. And this is way more consistent in the way it looks, the style of the fonts, and all the labels and everything. So if there's one learning from the last year, it would be for me, design first and build second, because it's otherwise, it's a long stretch when you want to do this, these complicated solutions, and then start changing and changing and changing. We've changed this too many times, basically. So that's that's what. Besides, we have a couple of more, but these are the major ones that we've been working on. And this one should be. This is, by the way, a full SaaS product. So one of these days, I will ask a few people to maybe try this on their own, because you can get just free account, just log in, build your own system. It's going to be called Rocket Engine. It's still now under a test name, but hopefully in 2026 we'll give some a freeware kind of use it yourself, and let's see how it works.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's basically
some pretty great apps for both of you guys. There's a couple questions. Have you ever calculated how much money you're saving not having to use other SaaS apps for features you've built here in Logix? For example, Trello, HubSpot, etc.
Eventually, I didn't calculate. Luckily also I didn't calculate how much time and how much money we spent on building this. It's a side. It's all besides the ones we do for our clients. This is a side project we built the moment we're busy here, or non-busy, or we save some time, like 20% of our time or 30% of our time doing this stuff. We try to integrate everything in here in our own version, in our own way. We don't use Trello anymore. We have connections to Slack. We use Google, of course, for the calendar integrations and stuff like that. So hopefully we can do everything in here. This is connected to our financial system, so it pushes out invoices straight to our financial system, and so this should be our only tool to use, besides some API connections, of course. But hopefully in 2026, that was our goal. We should be 100%. We're now already using this, but in 2026, I want to use this full blown, and hopefully that will work out. Yeah.
I would think too, it's not even just about the the cost per seat that you're saving with other apps, but it's more the fact that if you have one feature in here that stops a project from going sideways, slipping through the crack of some data or something like that, that's the real custom tool savings.
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah.
So excellent, thank you.
Basically, why I started it, the fact that we don't want to lose hours, basically, right? Too many times people will call us. We have integrations with iPhone and Android, so too many times people call. I wasn't registering that call. I wasn't registering what I was helping the client with, and those hours are lost after a couple of days. At least in my head, they're gone, and I don't bill them. And now we try to register everything and bill accordingly. I was billing at the end. I was billing once every 2 months or 3 months, and I should be billing every 2 weeks.
Nice.
So that's basically it.
We already have started a list in the chat for signups there. So
okay, cool.
The community is interested.
Well,
looks great. We're actually in our private Slack. Roger, our PM, and Madalena, operations manager, we're actually all talking about this. Oh, we got to get this, and we got to solve this problem. And every time we see that stuff, it's very motivating. So thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Next up, we have Jesse Roberts. And what's new, man?
All kinds of fun stuff. And I feel like I'm at a comedy festival and I have to follow Robin Williams. Like that was pretty impressive stuff you're in. So hopefully what we're going to show you guys with what we've been up to will be just as fun and hopefully inspiring as well. We are in just started basically year 1.5 of our public launch of our Unbound Discover product. We work primarily with independent schools, and over the last year and change or so, we developed a tool that de-anonymizes web traffic. So we can show a school who's actually on their website, what they're doing, what their activities are. I'll just give you a quick example of what that looks like here. So this is Unbound Discover, and we have a list of visitors, and this shows on the map who those people are specifically, like where they are in the country. We have information on them, obviously. So if I were to click into, say, Timothy Austin, I can see specifically information about him. We're using ChatGPT and Claude to generate custom marketing plans for each prospect as they come through. So we can tell the school exactly what to do and how to market to that individual family. But we're collecting a lot of other data. So we know that what their income is, their education, their real estate, how many times they've visited the website, an inferred credit score, and how many kids they have. In the last month or two, we've developed a couple of other, I think, really great additions based primarily from some user feedback. And we have adopted what's called the Experian Mosaic as an additional marketing tool to help our schools out. So if you're not familiar with the Experian Mosaic, Experian is it's a credit company, but what they also are is a really big marketing company. And they have developed a system that essentially classifies every consumer in the United States into a very specific band based on your income, your housing, what you do for a living, your education, et cetera. And they've broken those down into levels. So you've got your power elites made up of American Royalty, Platinum Prosperity, Kids in Cabernet, et cetera. So all the groups have kind of fun and kitschy little names so that you can understand who the folks are you're talking to. So this is a 300 and some page PDF that goes into the details of what each one of these groups is, what they're made of, and more importantly, like, how do you communicate with those people? The typical stats about their head of household, et cetera. So in talking to some of our customers, we thought, hey, this would actually be really important to tie this back into. So what we did is we used the data that comes in, from these particular visits, using some AI models, and then we're able to classify each of these visitors now as a member of these groups. So now we can see that this particular person is a member of C13, which means that we know exactly how to communicate with them. They are typically somebody that's going to be connected to on Twitter or Facebook. Email works for them. They do not do well with radio, and TV is just okay. So it gives you the medium in terms of how you need to connect with those folks. And then it also gets into the language and the kind of words you need to use when you're trying to connect with those folks. So that was really great and a nice thing. But one of the other things that we were asked was, to do some charting. And so we were able to use the AI assistant in this case to build custom charts on the fly on the data that's in the model. So we know exactly kind of what's going on with these individual folks in terms of, what zip codes visited the website, the income range of people who visited, what kind of cars people drive, because we can get that granular. So in particular, Dodge is the #1 visitor for website traffic yesterday. A lot of Toyotas and Fords, et cetera. But then, and most importantly, we want to connect back to that Mosaic conversation. And so down here, this is the breakdown of the Mosaic segments that were on their website yesterday. So F22 was the highest, and then they can then go back in and understand how the website's functioning from a marketing standpoint. But what's really great about this, from a big picture standpoint, and a lot of us are kind of single and single developers in our shops. And I had this thought, and I was like, well, wait a minute, can the AI assistant do something for me? So I went in and I asked the AI assistant to basically create me a page. And what that page turned out to be was a very similar version to the main system here, but this is all now done completely through the AI assistant. But most importantly, I switched and had the AI assistant build my mapping system on Leaflet, which is a free version, versus Google Mapping, which we pay for. And because we're now using Leaflet, the map is completely interactive for clicks. So when I can click into a record, I see Molly Horn's data there. And that gives me more information, so I can see more about Molly's visits. That grabs Molly's record, and then I can see all the different pages that Molly visited, so I can see what kind of engagement she has, et cetera, and understand she's someone we want to connect with. This target that you see here means that this person actually hit admissions pages. So this is somebody that we need to pay attention to. This is basically showing a very strong buying signal. So we're able to do a much deeper job now of helping the school figure out who to talk to. And I want to give, Charles and the team a big shout out, because this is one of those things that would have taken me 2 years ago, would have taken me hours and hours and hours to code. And the AI assistant basically built this for me, not quite single shot, but damn near it. I had a live working prototype of this in about a half an hour, just basically giving it, great prompts. It built everything for me in terms of the Leaflet.js. It built all the charts for me in Apex charts, and I didn't have to do anything else in terms of the modeling or anything like that. It just built it straight out. So, so really appreciate that work from the team to get the AI piece set up, because this really made a big difference in terms of my workflow and being able to ship, new layouts that are responsive to client needs.
That's awesome. We got a question here, Jesse. Jesse, does this require the user to enter some data about themselves? And how do they get the income? How do you get the income and car info as an example?
So this technology is built on a tracking pixel. And so what we do is we connect the tracking pixel back to the user's device. So, whether you're on a cell phone or a mobile or a desktop or laptop, we connect information about the user on that device back to a gigantic consumer data set of about 350 million records. We collect, in this case, well, I can show you, and we are going to have to blur this out, Charles, when we do this.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just make a note of that. Thank you.
But just to give you an example of what this looks like, let me open this in Excel. Just in terms from a consumer database perspective, data is out there. I'm going to scroll slowly, and you'll see how many fields we're collecting. Okay, and so I'm halfway here. I have an email address on the user. That's great. I'm still scrolling. I'm on H in terms of the alphabet, and I'm on CM in terms of the columns. We go all the way out to FK in this particular instance. But we have everything in here, including the VIN number of the car that they drive and are registered with. We know their education, their occupation. This data is actually all self-reported. So anytime you open up an app on your phone and it asks you for your date of birth, gender, et cetera, you're just making yourself known more deeply to the consumer bureaus. So and this is US based only. So our folks in Europe and other countries don't have to worry as much because of GDPR. But here in the US, data is a big commodity, and we do everything we can to take advantage of all those opportunities. So that'll be the last time you enter your correct birthday when you open up an app. When you do that, right?
I guess there's pros and cons of that, right? I mean, I don't really want to get, say, diaper commercials or ads at the same time. I get mostly, AI related stuff. So
yeah,
better than nothing.
But yeah, so this is, we're excited about it. The schools are excited about using it, and just understanding kind of what is available in traffic. The other cool thing about this, from a trafficking standpoint, is that for those of you who do marketing for your businesses, and if you use any UTM codes, or if you're doing any like Google campaign, Facebook campaigns, we can show you direct ROI on those based on the clicks of your unique new visitors when they come to your website. So that's the one thing that the schools are really excited about, because they spend a lot of money on Google campaigns and Facebook and that sort of thing. And so they now actually have, ROI that they can prove up to their budgeting offices and show that they're getting the most bang for their buck.
In some, if on our YouTube library or our YouTube channel, we have Jesse showing some other aspects of his solution. One of the ones is how he can target marketing right down pretty much to a house. You may want to check on that. And we also have another video where Jesse talks about getting acquired as well. So they're pretty popular. You can find those on the FM BetterForms channel.
Indeed. And if you're considering going through the acquisition process, let me know. I'm actually going through it again right now. So good times.
That's awesome. Awesome. Well, congratulations. I love what you've done with data. I think this is almost a role model, how you've used FileMaker as the back central hub. You use BetterForms for the interface, and a ton of APIs and even some AI in there as well, just to glue it all together. So it's a really good sort of role model application for almost anybody.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And happy to answer any questions that people want to talk about how to throw data into their stuff. I love doing it. Love talking about it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Next, I want to introduce Ali. And Ali is, I'm not sure your exact official position, so correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'll tell you more about from our perspective. Ali's app that he's about to demonstrate has probably the highest traffic now. Not the highest traffic ever, but the highest traffic as of the last 6 months on our network. And so take it away. You can introduce yourself, and I think it's kind of a really neat application. So
I'll try sharing my screen here just a sec. Let's do desktop. First, I'd like to introduce myself. Let me do this. Hello. So I take it everyone is seeing my screen, or
yeah, looks good.
okay. So I'll just introduce myself. I work at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I have no background in programming at all. I'm first secretary, and then I just got promoted to deputy head of the telecommunications department at the ministry. So usually the hierarchy of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, usually the head of departments are ambassadors, and then whatever is the highest in hierarchy after it becomes deputy head, and then we have our section chiefs and then the employees. So our department is maybe around. It used to be 80 employees, just our department. Now maybe around 40, something like that. The people that are working on FM BetterForms actually is just myself and another person that we're actually training. In terms of FileMaker, we have only 3 people from all the programmers that we have that are working on it. So they're slowly building up. Iraq is you could say, a developing country that's coming into, let's say, for example, the technology age. So we're slowly working. We came to BetterForms through FileMaker. We implemented what we call ICAS, which was the Iraqi Consulate Affairs Support System in 2022. That is the backend for us. That's what all our missions run on. We have around 92 missions all over the world, all across the world. So that's where they process, that's where they have the main database of all our diaspora outside of Iraq. That's where they enter their information. That's where they issue them power of attorneys, visas, death certificates, certification or attestation of documents, applying for one-time passports, death certificates, anything to do with the diaspora and with people who are visiting Iraq at the same time. So we had an issue before, especially with some of our missions in Germany, where we have a lot of, a very big diaspora. We have usually, London, maybe around, I think the last time they checked, maybe around million Iraqis. Even the diaspora in Germany is even much more. So when the embassy opens in the morning, you have a long line of people just waiting. So we need to find the solution. And with using WebDirect, it's fine when you're using small environment where you have certain employees, but you cannot have your backend out on the internet. So BetterForms was a very good solution that allowed us to basically minimize what data we share to the outside and what data we like to bring back into our system. So that was a very good way of like communicating without actually creating load on our system and using, the API that FileMaker provides. FileMaker was an excellent system when we started. I push always for low coding platforms. It just, it reduces the learning curve to try to implement programs. What you see, the page that you see right now, was developed on V3 using AI totally. We extensively use, 3 languages, the 3 official languages. So we have English, then we have Arabic, which, does right to left, and then we have Kurdish, which is a Kurdish language. We extensively use BFI18N to do the translation dictionary for a lot of our buttons, a lot of our text, and that element. And like Charles said, we do have a lot of traffic. I think just when we started, I think 4 months ago when we launched the system, I think till today, we have around 750,000 appointments registered. The traffic is, it doesn't stop. Basically, I'm always online bugging Charles. The system is down. We can't access, because it's 24/7. We have a mission that, sleeps. We have another mission that opens up. It's around the clock. We only have Saturday, which is basically, I believe, the Islamic Republic of Iran. They have, in the morning they work and then in the afternoon they stop. That's when we do our major updates. But all the rest of the days, everyone's booking all the time. I usually have people booking 4 a.m., 3 a.m. The system never stops. So as we're speaking right now, maybe every second we get like 2 or 3 people that are logging in and setting up the system. So just to give you a brief of the ICAS, which is the Iraqi Consulate Affairs System, we have several things. I'll get into the booking appointments. We're working on the visa. We just introduced the certificates for, application for birth certificate and death certificate, which simplified a lot of the work that needs to be done at the consulate. So basically everything is pre-filled. An application is issued with a QR code. They come to the embassy. They show that QR code. The QR code is scanned on our FileMaker, WebDirect app, and then all the information is automatically entered. The consul just checks the information and then just issues a birth certificate right away. We do have also a database of all our missions abroad. So that pulls it from FileMaker, and then you can search for any mission that we have, for example, and then it will show, if we click on that, the telephone number, the ambassador's name, and then I believe also it will show a map, and then you can use directions of how to get to the embassy or consulate from there. Going back to the main page, we do have, apply for birth certificate. I'll show you how the system works in terms of the appointment. So basically, we went with a setup where you choose the mission that you want to book an appointment for, and then I'll show you what services are offered at that mission or what you can apply for. Some of these services you can enter online. Some others you already need to have the application set, and I'll show you a certain application that I have here, where you need the QR code and then you scan the camera, and then it will continue the steps for the appointment because you've already entered the application. You don't need to re-enter your data. So what's nice about the system is that if, let's say, for example, I'm doing an emergency travel document and I click on next, so it'll tell us what needs to be required, what you need to have, how much it costs, and then this is, by the way, it works also, as in Arabic, English, whatever the language is. Okay, and then we click on next. We use the passwordless setup. So basically, what we would do is we would enter the email and then we would enter the date of birth. If you've registered for an appointment before, your system would already be in the back end in the database. So basically, it would send a code to your email, and then we would I'm just waiting for my code here, and then the information should be already there for me because I'm already registered there. I'm just waiting for the code. So for the code, we use basically Amazon simple email service, which is amazing, and it's free actually. So you could use that. So once I entered the code, my information is already here. we require, because it's the Iraqi embassy and then you are in Iraq, you have to enter your information in Arabic or one of the languages. If you don't, the system will actually, tell you the characters are wrong, so you need to enter it. If you do have an Iraqi passport, then it shows you what you need to enter in terms of the Iraqi passport. If you have a Iraqi national ID, what you need to enter, or if you don't have the IDs with you, then you can enter it. And then that's it, because it's already entered into the system. What we worked with a company called NitoCal. And NitoCal is also one of, upcoming companies, which was very nice. We did like a setup where we used part of it as an API and an iframe to actually show the appointment system. And then we do have a check-in page where when the citizen comes to the embassy, they show them the QR code. We use FM BetterForms to check the appointment, with our system. And then at the appointments there, we'll do an API call and see if the appointment is there. I'm just checking. They're probably booked. I picked the wrong one. Anyways, so you just check and then that's it. You click on next and then you've booked your appointment and then you get the appointment. Now coming to the other page, which is the application forms. For example, the birth certificate, which shows us a lot of extensive use. Same thing, you would enter the email and then, I'll just use my information for now. You would enter the birth date of the newborn that you want to register. And then the same idea where you would enter in the data. And I'm just waiting here for my code. Okay, here it is. 211760. And then basically it's just a normal questionnaire where you fill in all your information and then you go on to the next screens and then you can upload the documents. Now, what's nice about it is not all the screens show up with the information that you need. So on the next screen, for example, where you need the information and you will get, and I'll show you over here. Once I started this application, an application number was actually sent out. So I do get an email to the system here, which says you have started an Iraqi birth certificate application. And what's nice about this is that the citizen can go back to his application even if he didn't finish it and continue the steps whenever he needs to. So as an example here, I use someone else's over here. So this is an example of a link that came from FM BetterForms, and this is a completed application, okay, where they finished all the steps 1, 2, 3, and 4. And they entered all the information that's required. They uploaded their documents. I think we used API, I believe, for that. We extensively use, because we don't have experience in designing layouts, so we use a lot of the templates that FM BetterForms provides. We hope, Charles, that you maybe enlighten us with more templates, or more dashboards or something that will help, I think, the development also. And so basically, when we send it to print, what happens is you get the actual application with a QR code, which tells you what you need to do and what required documents you need to bring in with that. So with this, because you did the application, you actually need to book the appointment now once you have this application. So you do the application first, and then once you finish the application, you go back to the system, whichever the system is that's on here. I don't know if my internet's acting up a little bit, but let me see if we use the pack. Okay. So you go to book appointment, and then we'll choose London, for example. And I'll try over here. Where is it? Birth certificate. Birth. Okay. And then I'll hit next. So it tells me that I actually need to fill in the form first, and then what are the fees that are required for the system. And let me do something here real quick. I don't know if I stop my video, I can use the video. So also same thing, you would enter the email and then you click on verify email and then you would get the code. But what's nice about this setup here is that we used an actual, and I got the code, 158960. So if you see, it opened up the camera. Okay, so that's my camera right now, and I have the application here right now. So if I take the QR code and then I don't know, I'll try it here. So it ran the QR code automatically, and then it brought in all the information of the child, and I just have to fill in the address and then click next. And that will basically, so let's say for example here, I'll put London, uh, London, and then I'll put the country as United Kingdom. What's nice is that even because we use translations, so even when you select or whatever, it changes the language to what you need. And then I would basically go to next. And then it will load the appointment page. Hopefully we have appointment. So yeah, there we go. So we have an appointment. I'll book one, let's say tomorrow. And then it already has all my information there that I need. And basically once I hit submit, and that's it. The appointment is scheduled. And then there's a map of where to go to get to the location itself. And then you can
Nice.
add, it was made with NitoCal onto that. So we just use both of the things. We hit the links or whatever, the hyperlinks that need to bring in this information. And we worked well with NitoLink, telling them the app. And I think they also have lots of traffic from us for the booking of the appointment. We are working now because we're just waiting for BetterForms to finish up maybe the templates for the right to left. We also worked with another here, I'll show it. Let's see if I have it here. So we're working with portals for right to left. This is something with the Committee of Integration, and it's connected to FileMaker. So basically but we need to work on getting things right to left. This is only in Arabic itself. We use the actual template and we made it in Arabic to work it on the system. So this is a brief of ICAS. It's a big system. We do have lots of, I think our database is maybe 1 million citizens registered. We issued maybe 1,500,000 documents. So it's a lot of data that's being collected. This has helped a lot since now we do the appointment system through FM BetterForms and we have everyone pre-registered. We jumped within 3 or 4 months from 350,000 of the diaspora registered in our system to like almost 800,000 Iraqis registered during these 3 4 months from the system.
Are you finding it's is it saving time inside the actual mission offices as well now?
Yeah. What happened is when we get people to pre-register, instead of them taking, let's say, for example, half an hour to finish a document, it's taking more like 5 to 10 minutes to finish. So that has saved a lot of time. The fact that the system uses AI, it allows us to build templates much quickly. We do have another project coming up right now, which is the protocol for the protocol department, which basically allows the foreign missions that are in Iraq to basically register their cars, get the tax exemptions. The difference is that with the FileMaker and FM BetterForms, it's difficult to find a pre-made solution online because it's very customized. So you have to build it yourself. I remember we had a lot of companies that provided us offers for our main backend system, and prices were reaching maybe $3 million, $2 million to do a government enterprise system. This system, all together with our licenses with FileMaker, throughout these 3 years, we haven't hit $200,000, in terms of costs. So cost savings is huge. It allows us to customize based on what we need, and that's important. And at the same time, it's our data. There is no issues because we control the data. So there are no issues with having companies come in and basically I'll get like maybe a complaint saying that we had the data leak or whatever. We control everything. It's a very controlled environment. That's the advantages of it.
And you had mentioned that you have your stuff, your FileMaker system. You didn't want to expose that, where WebDirect would directly expose effectively FileMaker client
It
to the
would,
browser.
and it's heavy. WebDirect, if you actually used it, we use it extensively. I don't know if a lot of other companies, but we use it heavily. We have almost 300 users, maybe 150 on 150 to 200 when it's and as even though the specifications in FileMaker say that it allows this many users, when you have a lot of users issuing documents, printing documents, doing a lot of, it's very scripted. A lot of scripts
Mhm.
run on the system. Every click that you do, it hits a huge load. It improved on the newer versions compared to the old FileMaker 19. When they started doing, the garbage collection on the Java, but we used to have the system crash a lot, or it would hang. But with the help, what's nice about the FileMaker community, and when we moved with hosting the services with, I believe it was one of the hosting companies in Europe, they host our FileMaker. They helped us out a lot with how to optimize. That is the key with FileMaker, just getting your data to get optimized. But we found using the JSON, it simplified things a lot, where you could just do a flag and then just bring the whole JSON file and it'll just come as one file. It's
Mhm.
not like always collecting back and forth data from FileMaker. It just comes onto the page. You have to do what you do, and then you just send and then come back. It's not, heavy on the system itself.
Just to touch on the right to left language support, there's a few things. There's a few limitations that we currently have, and Hassan on our team and myself met with Ali. I guess it was in the summer or spring sometime,
Summer, yeah,
and
in Toronto.
yeah, when you were in town there, and that actually we haven't really talked about it too much to you, but that actually started off another project where we're re-architecting all of the underlying legacy architecture that BetterForms has. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but it was originally we had a little bit more of opinion and we slowly removed the opinion out because we realized later on everybody has these customized needs. They want to put things here, there, and etc. So we have a project and it's sort of codenamed Master Schema. And the idea there is that your header, your footer, your left side, right sides, all of those parts just extend into schema and you can move them around and do anything you want. So there will be no more opinion after that, and it's fully backwards compatible with existing slots. So there won't be any hoops to jump through. The GUI editor will edit the headers and footers and anything else you want seamlessly as if it was part of that page. You'll be able to drag things in and out of the from the page to the header and the footer if you wanted to. And that will solve that right to left challenge when you have to move something, including a navigational menu, all the way to the other side. You won't have to jump through any CSS hoops or anything like that anymore. Just switch it around. Browsers already have really good support for various language formats. It's the template is really the limitation there, and that will be gone over the next quarter as we release that feature for you. And that was your driving that pushed that forward. So thank you for that for meeting with us.
Hopefully, Charles, I don't know, maybe if you can create a community. I could see a lot of the dashboards are amazing. Like we see a lot of dashboards. Maybe if there's a way maybe of the other developers of sharing maybe their templates or something, and this will help in probably the development time. Like one of your guests, a lot of the time is not in the coding. A lot of time is in actually developing the UIs, and that's
Pixel
what
pushing.
most of the time to get things going. And even with AI, and it helps you, AI will not develop everything for you. It'll just develop small parts of everything, and then you have to put it together and then make sure it all seamlessly works together. And then when you have right to left, it just goes crazy. It's
We've
just
just kicked off another project. So if you let AI just on your dashboards, they all look like a purple color and they'll all look very similar. They all have rounded panels and so on. So the UI is almost identical, almost across all the models. But with prompting and guidance, you can have a lot more flexibility. So we're working on a redesign of our style page where we have pre-designed I don't want to say a theme, but you could think of it as a theme where you're picking typeface, you're picking typeface, you're picking how far spaced things are spaced out, rounded corners, square corners, those kinds of things. What your primary, secondary buttons, tertiary buttons, all of this stuff would look like. And that is going to be a hybrid, which I think is going to be pretty unique. It's going to be a hybrid of AI plus actual theme, but the AI is going to use that as an example. So when you create new pages, you can do that. And what you can do right now today is you can create a page and call it style guide and say to the AI, go look at all my other pages in my app and create a style guide based on what you see on those pages. And it'll systematically read every one of your other pages, even though you're not on that page. It has access to them. And then it'll generate a style guide, and you say include typography and spacing and all of this stuff that's important to you. Now you've created a style guide, and this is something I'm just playing with right now, just as we test out next versions. From that style guide, when you create a new page, you say go reference the style guide to apply it to this page, and so it's kind of a two-step process, and that works okay. That gets you pretty far. If you want, you can just clone a page and then say apply the styles for the other elements that I'm going to create and so on. But our goal is to have that natively in the AI, so the AI has that style as a skill internal to it. So that's coming out, and that's the style and the theme stuff we're still experimenting with what that UI would look like. We just had a kickoff meeting a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago on that, so it's pretty early in that. But the AI style guide generation, you can do that right now. So great. Does anybody have any other questions for Ali? I agree with you, Run. You said that customization is what you need, right? That the whole idea of custom software. I mean, FileMaker's been preaching the custom software right from day one. But now that you have that, you can still have that same internal stuff, and you have all of the access to the rest of the world as well. All right. Well, thank you very much for that. Thanks for sharing. Let's jump to our list here. Sorry. All right. Next, we have Alessandro from Digital Maker.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Was very interesting listen what say Ali, because he consolidate in 30 seconds what is the advantage to have FileMaker joined with BetterForms. And it's great to listen to people that have a background like every developer have and arrive exactly at the point what is the real advantage to have these two techniques joined. Anyway, I want to share something that we are working in the last year. And essentially, let me present very quickly, we are FileMaker developer from the last 40 years. So we start with natural software, and we are essentially FileMaker developers. So the way that we use BetterForms actually is to have the backend in FileMaker and have the front end in BetterForms. And as you know, I think that a lot of people agree with me. Every FileMaker developer know how it's frustrating to have a proper calendar and scheduler integrated in FileMaker, because sometimes the majority of the people use external tools that give to us if the people have a reserve, what the people have paid, that enter in your calendar that you need to make this meeting. But for more complex company, this is not enough because have a lot of internal consequence. So when 3 years ago I decided to have my PADI diving certificate, I went we live in Miami, here in Miami, and I went in the best of the company that make this class. And when they give it to me a lot of paper, I was very frustrated, say, but we are in 2023, there is a better way to do. And they say, if you have an idea, you can help us. And this is the result of what we do for this company. Can I share my screen?
Yes, please do.
Okay. You see screen?
Yeah.
So this is a company that make more than 100 people a day, that make trip in Miami and class. And was the old system to collect the information and for allow you to pay. And this was made with .NET, and was it's only to collect the information. After this, there was to receive an email in a SQL database, and they process everything manually. So we have substitute this with a FileMaker solution that first start to have a waiver. And also the waiver here in the United States for law, you need to make a waiver. And the waiver is a way to legally authorize and be sure that you are enabled to make the trip and the class and you are healthy. But because in Miami, there is a lot of foreign people, they also need to understand if you are a minor of age, how old are you, what the language that you speak, because they change the crew on the boat depending of the people that is participating to this event. And the way all this that you see is completely loaded from FileMaker database. But what I don't want to enter very deep in this stuff, but the result of this is that they receive every information from the waiver in a dashboard, and they know if he's a minor of age, is it a female or male, how old is he, is he a passenger, is not a passenger, if he's renting something, if he's a student, and they can prepare the boat in half an hour and not in 2 hours like before, because everything is prevented and they know everything that they know. And this is one part that we solve about the waiver. So it's not only a waiver, but it's a dynamic system that gives data, and with the data, they can work in better.
Alessandro, so when they're going to load out the boat with the equipment, are they using like an iPad at that time, or?
Yes, I'm an Apple consultant, and also I like Apple device for the low maintenance that you don't need. And actually, they don't use a BetterForms app on the iPad. They use a FileMaker Go on the iPad because our experience is one of the first time that we make a solution for B2C. For B2B, normally we make B2C. And when you work with normal people that make a reservation, the nature of this company don't have a skill high like other company that we worked before, or some example that the people speak before, that you can interact and they can detect exactly what they need. So we every week or every 2 weeks, we have a meeting. We need that, this change, we don't explain you good. And for the moment, the right way to have quick solution is to have the backend in FileMaker, because it's changing a lot. But the part from the front end, that is the customer part, also have a lot of trouble. Now I show you how we solve it, but it's more standard. An example, the waiver that I showed to you, we make 38 version. It's incredible to make a normal waiver. How is possible to generate 30 version of the waiver? But this is possible because not everybody can share the experience and the data that a developer need to arrive to the goal. But now, about the new system that we deliver for them is this calendar that is not only the interface is very important, but you need to understand that it's complicated to understand, but a diver center have different kind of events. You can make snorkeling, you can make a dive. There is a lot of different of dive, different of the deep. Is a shard tagging from the university, so that people don't rent stuff, and you have a huge number of participants the university sent to you in a spreadsheet only the day before, and you need to populate that because everybody can make a waiver. And also you have a private charter, and you need to prepare the renting gear. So what we do is we first of all, we split the event in 5 main categories. That is trip, special, private, class, and class pro. And because we are tired every 3 months to make change on the front end, I arrived to create a template. So we have a template for every kind of event that they have. They can personalize the activity, they can personalize the equipment, they can personalize the add-on, they can personalize the price, they can personalize if you pay, if you not pay. Because an example, if Charles want to offer to the best developer of the year a private charter in Miami, Charles pay the bill of $4,000. But Charles don't pay if I rent the dive suite or if I want a bottle of champagne. So me, that I have the link to make the reservation, I will pay the bottle of champagne, but Charles should be paid the main amount of the $4,000 of the trip. So all this stuff is totally controlled here. And they have, and when they create an event, let me show you, they can personalize, let me find one here. Okay, they can personalize. First of all, they need to put the event type. They have a list of templates that they choose. The template using JSON parse from the template, the activity, equipment, and add-on. And they can also personalize here a special price if they have partnership or not. If you can manually understand if the people pay the activity or the equipment or the add-on, they can also choose the dive site. They have a dip. And depend of the deep, there is something, an example, if you go in an advanced deep dive, you cannot have free diving, or you don't have any sense to have a passenger because the passenger stay 4 hours on the boat only watching nothing. So they can personalize everything like this. And now what happened before probably in 2 people working 3 hours for every event, now they spend probably 5 minutes. And I want also to show you that in the moment that they make a reservation using all this information is totally loaded from FileMaker, and the system understands if it's a class or not. So in the moment that you make a booking and you have 2 people participating, let me do this. Okay, let me do this. Of course, I choose one that they don't. 1 second. Also, the image, everything is loaded not from FileMaker for as free.
Is that the SS Minnow?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Tank underwater.
Yeah. 1 second. The important to have mandatory information to not allow the people to. There is all people that say this is my name, this is my credit card. Of course. Let me show you. Because I work in live and they are adding the new event because we start January 1st to using that. 1 second. They can add password for the event. They can, you see that the color change independent of the plans. Here an example is a group event. So the system, the interface understand if you are a group leader or not. And if you are a participant, they load the group leader that they have, and you can load less information about the equipment or about other stuff. And the result is that using Postmark, we send email, and the good things that when you click the email, you can have a URL that load the information of your reservation, make a subtotal, understand if there is some item that is taxable or not, and you can load the invoice and you can print that. But technically, it's very smooth and the people don't need to ask anymore and stay on the phone. And
Right.
I want also to involve Neil that helped me with this project. That if somebody have more specific question about how we have used the AskJSON and how we have format the AskJSON to have this custom 360-degree calendar that technically is 1-2 months that we don't change anymore the front end because we have prevent every personalization that they have directly in the template in the inside FileMaker.
How many people do they have book on a regular basis, like per week or?
They have more than 500 people a week.
Nice.
And also they because they work for 25 years in this market. When you have a sharp tagging that technically is to make radio signal on the shark to know when is the dangerous shark around here in the area. They have a university that send the name of the people, but the name of the people they don't know in advance. Maybe some people come, some people join, and all this has a very complicated consequence to prepare a boat and for safety and for all this stuff. Also, if you have a two dive trip and you have 30 people, you need to prepare 60 tank on the boat. It's not something that you prepare the boat in 50 minutes. You need to have 4 people. You need to understand. You need to have emergency stuff. It's a lot of stuff. And now we have installed internet satellite on the boat. And so because sometimes they go 5 or 8 miles far, and they can control everything from the iPad. And the next step, because they are also able to send marketing email. So when you make the waiver, technically we have all the people that make the waiver, and automatically FileMaker send an email with thank you to participate, give us a review. And the next step, we want to take picture from the iPad on the boat. So before the people arrive to the gate, when they come back, they already have received in the mail a memory picture with all the experience, with the dive log, with the site that they went, something like this.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you.
Our next guest is Eric Smager, but he's not able to present. So Hassan is going to present his app on his behalf, kind of like accepting the Academy Awards or something.
Hey guys, yeah, so this is the Qantas app. The main part that we were able to show off over here was the documents feature. This is a feature that we worked on at the BetterForms team.
What does
And
Qantas do exactly?
yeah, so Qantas, I'll go to the home over here. Essentially, they can just upload, well, the system that we mainly worked on was for their file upload and approvals. So if they upload any files, they can approve them. This is for people inside, mostly internal. Just gonna go over here to this section.
Okay.
And the feature I kind of wanted to show off was something that Linshu built. It was actually pretty neat because before there was a trouble viewing documents, especially if it was Excel, it would be quite the issue. So I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna try to browse files. I'm just gonna add in, this is using the BetterForms file proxy, so fairly easy to build up. And I'm just gonna put in an Excel file here. Let's give this a moment. I've actually never seen this screen over here before. But while it's happening, I'll kind of show off what was done with this. What Linshu did over here was she used the Microsoft viewer for Excel, and she would be using the Google viewer for Word and PowerPoint. Reason being is Google wouldn't allow you to view Excel. So she kind of swaps between them depending on the file extension to use the appropriate one. So I'm gonna go back here because this was just might be haven't refreshed in a while. And I'm just gonna go to new document, browse. And right over here, you can see the Excel file actually loaded in. And
So
this is
this is using, sorry to interrupt you. So
yeah,
this is using a special viewer to view the Excel file. Is
yeah.
that right? I see. And can you edit the fields in there as well, or you just it's
So
just
you can edit the fields. Currently, it's view only,
right?
but it's still really helpful because before it was pretty hard to view these. And this you can actually just do inline in your HTML, which hasn't a JavaScript there because there's certain conditions and certain things we want to do
Mhm.
with it. But all
So
you simply,
you're saying right in line you can preview an Excel file.
yeah,
So that way if
so
you're uploading something for import, you can have a look at it and say, yeah, that's the right stuff, or oops, I got like 17 files on my desk.
yeah, if you see right here,
Oh,
this
that's
link
cool.
right here, where all you'd need to do for Excel, you would just swap it over
I
and
didn't
put the
know.
encoded URL right here and you could view it directly.
Oh, I see.
So
So the URL, the file is encoded in that encode.
yeah,
I see. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, the URL for it. Got it. All right.
yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I've never seen that before. I never had to use it, but yeah, maybe that's why.
Yeah, this is a very helpful feature that came up because we do have this in our native template, the template client portal 2, for viewing documents, and that's
Hmm.
mainly for PDFs. But this one allows you to view Excels as well. And it's a very simple solution. And pretty much most people do some sort of uploads. So if you ever need some sort of upload viewing, this is a very good and easy method to do it. Another thing we used on this app was the ham. If we still have Jason on the call, maybe he could kind of explain briefly. But yeah, we implemented ham features. This is for security purposes. And by adding simple ham over here, we were able to control what people can see depending on their privilege set. Jason, if you want to maybe explain how ham works briefly.
Yeah, sure. Putting me a bit on the spot right there, but when the user logs in, we have code where they take a particular role. I believe that this one you could be an employee or a manager. So the idea was that if you're an employee, you would have access to certain things, like, for example, the ability to create or edit documents, but you wouldn't have the ability to be able to approve documents. Whereas if you came in with as a manager, you would have those abilities, like the approvals process in there. And if you can go into kind of the dev tools again. Do you have it under organization?
Looks like it. Maybe
Just going up into organization in there.
Around line 7 or something. Yeah. Is that?
Yep. Okay. So that's kind of where it comes in there, where if you have a standard employee, as a standard employee, you would have various different abilities in there.
Yeah, and this is just a great way to govern your app on who has what privilege sets. Because a lot of apps you'll have an admin on there, and you'd also have non-admin people, maybe technicians or something that also use the app, or users. And this way you can simply be able to hide and show what people are supposed to see according to their privilege set. Right, this was a fairly small implementation on their app. So that was all I was kind of going to demonstrate. I wanted to show off that PDF feature because aside from that, there's nothing too unique over here. But that one was kind of a unique implementation that could be applicable for a lot of other users.
Excellent. Thanks for that. That's the viewer is pretty neat. I'm going to post some links into the chat, Zoom chat, on Ham if you're interested in how that works. We just recorded a podcast with Portage Bay. I think it came out like a week or two ago or something like that. And it talks about that. It's not really a complex thing. It's more of a conceptual thing about how to look and think about privileges rather than and it simplifies it. It's a really nice, elegant solution for doing that. One other thing to point out as well, even though you see that privilege set in the front end, that is only controlling the visibility of items. You still have to replicate that with a simple test in the back end in your hooks, and that'll verify that that particular user has that privilege. You don't want to just hide a menu. You want to disable it in the background so it can't fetch certain data it's not supposed to. So I think, let me just check our list, but I think that is all of our presenters today. We're going to jump to our, which we made some great timing here. We're going to jump to our swag draw, and unless anybody has any questions, special thanks for, let me just jump to here. Special thanks for everybody who took the time out of their day to present some of those solutions. I love looking at these things, and it's on behalf of our team, like I can confidently say that it's like, we end up talking about that. Did you see the thing that he built or they built? And it's pretty exciting. It's super rewarding for us to see all of the amazing stuff that you guys have built. I'm just looking at some of our internal conversations as well, just on that. Any questions about anything that we've covered today? And once again, guys, I hope you have we're going to continue to hang out after this, but on behalf of all of our team, I hope everybody has a great holiday, and thank you very much for all your support over the course of the last year. We're super excited about the stuff that we got coming out next year, including something I haven't really talked about. It's a brand new product, and it's just in engineering, just started to go through the engineering cycle now, but I think it's going to be a game changer, just like BetterForms was. So thanks again, and I will see you next month.